Hey Trackies, welcome back to another video. Albert's here.
Hi.
Yay, and we're back with another review for day 3.
Yes.
No young peer around here. That being said, let us dive into some finals. I want to talk about the men's and the women's 400-meter hurdles. Now, I don't necessarily think how, the athletes that actually, placed in top 3 was a surprise, but I do think, it was a surprise for the women, the order. So let's jump into the women's 400-meter hurdles where Rochelle Clayton, running a season's best 53.81 seconds, took the win. Anjanette Knight was second, 54.52 seconds, and Cheyenne Salmon was third, 54.65 seconds. Now, as I said, the order for me was very much surprising. Going in, I would definitely say, given what I saw from a Rochelle Clayton, I actually put her in third because she wasn't giving, especially since Kingston and the whole Grand Slam track league, she wasn't looking like a Rochelle Clayton, right? But what I understand when it comes to Rochelle Clayton is that she's a championship performer. She knows when to turn up when it's the right time, and she does it time and time again. And this time she turns up at the national championships and she's ready and she takes the win. When I saw her blasting out to 300 meters, I said to myself, will she be able to hold on? And hold on she did. She looked really good, and definitely Rochelle Clayton has returned. By the time we get around to the world championships, she'll be back to her very best, in my opinion, ready to challenge for one of those medal placings. Now, Anjanette Knight, 54.52. I'm slightly disappointed, I have to say, because coming in I had her as heavy favorite, especially off her last performances on the circuit. It looked as though she was finally getting into that groove to break or shatter her personal best, but it wasn't to be tonight. She didn't look like she got into the race from the get-go because, as I said, Rochelle Clayton was pretty much gone, and we know the hurdles now is literally a sprint too, so if you're not attacking the first 200, you're on the back foot, right? So she didn't really attack the first 200, and then she tried to get back towards the end or in the final 50, you would say. She did manage to overtake Cheyenne Salmon, but I definitely didn't think that was a performance that I would get from her. I was expecting something a bit more solid coming out of Anjanette Knight,
especially considering I agree, and especially considering that semi-final run. I think she had the fastest time with the semis as well, so honestly, it
was leading to great performances. I'm not sure what happened in the finals. Maybe it was just a bad race day, because that happens sometimes as well. But I'm looking to see what would happen if she'll take on any more circuit runs after this, to see exactly what's going on with her, because I definitely thought, or I'm thinking, that this year is a big year for her, and I think she's finally ready to step into that what I believe Jamaicans were expecting for the last 2 years since she went pro, that she would be the next big thing for us in the hurdles, 400-meter hurdles. So let's see what happens with her. Cheyenne Salmon, nothing to really complain about. We know she's had her struggles this season, so her making it on the team is a positive and a plus. 54.65, great going, as I said, for her. Now let's jump into the men's 400-meter hurdles. I would say this is, well, not necessarily a surprise, but it's great to see Roshawn Clark back to winning ways, right? Especially from a senior championship perspective. Of course, Malik James King won last year, right? But coming in, we're looking at Asini Wilson, Malik James King, and of course we were looking at Roshawn Clark. Thinking about how the season has been progressing, though, Malik, ever since that injury at the Grand Slam Track League, or whatever it was at the Grand Slam Track League, he hasn't really come back to himself just yet, right? I remember he fell at one of the Diamond Leagues as well. So not really a surprise seeing Roshawn Clark come out here and dominate, but I'm also excited for Asini Wilson really stepping up as well. So we are sending 3 strong hurdlers this time to the World Championships, and I said give them a couple months. I believe Malik will be back to his best as well, and let's see how they come. I'm kind of happy that Grand Slam is done for the hurdlers. The 400-meter hurdles double look like it never did a workout for them. I don't know. It looked like it was really, really tough. The only one it probably worked for was Sydney, right?
And she's
it didn't look like it was working out for anybody else. Everybody else looked like they were struggling, and as I said, a few of the athletes looked like as though they picked up injuries from Grand Slam when it comes to the 400 hurdles, that category. But let's see what happens with them. I'm excited. So Roshawn takes the win, 48.02 seconds. Asini Wilson takes second, 48.42, and Malik James King third, 48.49 seconds. So just shy from 47 seconds, breaking that 47 seconds barrier. and I think in the 2 months, I think they'll be ready to challenge the world. When it comes to medaling, we all know it's tough in the hurdles, whether it be the female or the males. It's tough to break in, right? As things stand right now, maybe only one spot is available for the females, and then for the males, it's practically sewn up with Rai Benjamin, the world record holder as well, and the young Brazilian, Dos Santos, right? I keep forgetting what the world record holder's name from time to time.
Oh,
yeah, him, right? So it's really hard to get into the hurdles, but let's see how that goes. Let's jump now into some heat races. Let's start about the women's 200 meters. Let's start with heat 1. We're making it through. Well, this is the semi-final to finals, to be fair, right? So making it through was Kemba Nelson. She ran a 23.39 seconds, and Nisha Berger 23.45. This was done in a negative 1.2 meters per second wind. So those athletes progressed. Based on who was entered, trackies, I definitely think that this was the expectation, especially given the non-starters. A number of athletes did not start, so given the field that was left, this was who we were expecting to get through to the next round. Now in heat 2, Ranisha McGregor was the only athlete to progress. She ran a 23.37 seconds in a negative 2.0 meters per second wind. So she makes it into the finals. The impressive athlete came up for me in heat 3, Ashanti Moore. She hasn't run a 100 meter personal best, but based on where she has progressed to making it to the 100 meter finals,
she's been
and to the 200, looking like she's ready to get a spot for the first time in the senior team. Yep. For sure, this is a major year for Ashanti Moore. So she qualifies running at a negative 2.8 meters per second wind, running a 22.92 seconds. So she got the most wind, negative 2.8, that's 3 meters per second. So crazy. And she ran at 22.92, the only athlete to break 23 seconds. So great going for her. Definitely think that she's a shoo-in for the team. Now in heat 4, we had Jodine Williams taking that 23.42 seconds, and Brianna Williams was second, 23.54 seconds. Now, as it relates to the performances, for Brianna Williams, the track is we're just going to have to give her some time to acclimatize to the new training setup. Right? I know, and I kept saying this, interestingly, prior to the actual trials, I said, hey, I was giving her some time, but she has been looking good, so why not highlight it, but as I said, it still applies. She needs time to acclimatize. So she ran a good, I would say, 150, 180, let's put it that way, 180, and she kind of, her form, I would say her form broke towards the end where Jodine overtook her, but she's there, she's in the final, she has an opportunity, because outside of Ashanti Moore, there's no real top favorite outside of that for the next 2 positions. But, so I would say Ashanti Moore gets a shot, right? At a place, Ashanti Moore is favorite for me going in, and then the next 2 positions is up for grabs. So whether it be Kemba Nelson, Nisha Berger, whether it be Ranisha McGregor, Jodine Williams, or Brianna Williams, one of those athletes will take the final 2, or 2 of those athletes will take the final 2 spots.
But let me say though, Brianna, she has a season's best, which is a sub 23.
Right, 22.69.
Right.
Done in a negative wind.
In a negative wind. So I feel once she can just center herself, I think she definitely has a shot at the top 3.
Definitely. Just run her own race. Forget everything else. Block everything else. Run her own race, and for sure I think she'll be in. But easier said than done. It's the trials and the nerves are there. So all I can say is that I'm wishing her all the best, absolutely, when it comes to her competing. I'm wishing all the athletes all the best, because sometimes y'all think I'm only wishing my favorites best.
No,
I wish everybody the best, guys. All right, so jumping over into the men's 200 meters. Heat 1 for the semifinals, Adrian Kerr took that, running at 20.75 seconds. O'Dane Crooks was second, 20.79 seconds. Getting in with the non-automatic times was Michael Campbell, running at 20.81, and Chavoy Reed running at 20.83 seconds. So those athletes get into the finals. I would say, again, a bunch of athletes pulled out. The obliques, the Akims, it really left not that many to contest, and we didn't see Andrew Hudson.
No,
he didn't turn up. So again, we were looking out for Andrew Hudson potentially in the 200 meters, so he was a non-starter. So it really left, again, as I said, not necessarily the best athletes, but athletes that are there nonetheless to try to, one, get in top 3, and then 2, also get that automatic qualification time. Times are important.
Yes,
20.16 seconds. That standard is very, very important. Whether or not they'll be able to get to it, trackies, these times don't necessarily point to that, but let's see what happens in the finals, especially given the fact that there's been a lot of negative wind, right? So depending on the time of the day that the 200 meters is run, it may not necessarily be the best condition. So that's a concern, but let's see what happens with our athletes. So in heat 2, running a negative 1.5 meters per second wind, Bryan Lavelle took that. He ran a 20.51 seconds. Taekwondo Tracy, I tell you, Taekwondo Tracy is always there. People always underestimate him. I don't know why people underestimate Taekwondo Tracy. He ran a 20.79 seconds for second in the race. For me, I'm happy seeing that Bryan Lavelle was not hurt.
Yes, I was just gonna say that shows that while last night was unfortunate, it doesn't mean that he's hurt. He was able to reset from what we saw, and he's gonna try the 200.
Yeah, and I definitely think he goes in. I still think he's favorite.
Oh,
but
for sure.
There's an athlete that is right on his heels, and he came up in the 3rd semifinal, and it was exciting to see. It was definitely exciting to see, because it means that we don't have one potential person that will, be able to challenge the world, because I'm not just looking at this from a Jamaican perspective, but I'm thinking about what they'll be able to do against the rest of the world realistically, right?
Can they challenge the world beaters?
Exactly. So Bryan Lavelle is one, and now in heat 3 or semi-final 3, Christopher Taylor came up and he ran a 20.50. This was done in a negative 1.4 meters per second wind. Cadron Golson was second, 20.76. Those 100s did the work for Christopher Taylor.
Yes.
He was sharp, and he was also easy, right? So.
And did you see? He posted on his story after the 100. He was like, "That was fun. Now on to the actual trials." Okay. So it seems his intention really was
to get sharp for the 200. Listen, and I think I saw him like the video that we posted about let him cook.
Yes.
With the stars.
Yes,
that
I
he
saw
doesn't
that.
have.
Yes.
That he doesn't have a star. Let him cook. You know what I mean? So shout out to Chris on recognizing the work for sure. But yeah, I definitely think that he's on target to get to that qualification standard again, 20.16. That's literally all he needs now. If he runs faster, awesome. We're going to take it. Right, but all he needs right now is that 20.16. And based on this 20.50, I think he makes it. He definitely makes it. He's in top 3 at least, and even if the wind doesn't allow them to run fast, I think he will be able to get to another meeting someplace and run fast enough to qualify.
That's what I was gonna say. There is the cutoff time has not yet. It's not
nowhere close.
Right.
Nowhere close. So there's enough time if the athletes place in top 3 and they don't have the standard to get the standard. But I think he can get it. Based on what I saw tonight, he's in line to run fast enough to make it. And again, it's looking good for Jamaica in the men's 200 meters. I can say proudly, it's a resurgence. I am happy.
There's a resurgence.
Yes, for sure.
And I think him and Bryan, we could eventually see them clash over the years, over the 200 meters.
All the better. Iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron.
We're here for it.
Sometimes easy, comfortable qualifications doesn't necessarily suit the athletes.
That is true.
Doesn't necessarily suit them because no pressure. You just go in willy-nilly and just run and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm a done deal anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So pressure is really, really good. So let's see what happens with both of them over the years as they progress. But Christopher Taylor, he came in. He's been looking good from the 100. Looks good in the 200, and I'm happy for him. I'm also happy for Bryan Lavelle. Finding out that he's not hurt, because that was the concern last evening. That was a blunder. Whatever caused it, we're over it. We're ready for the 200 final, so we're excited for that. Now, trackies, let's jump into the 100-meter hurdles.
I've been waiting.
He's excited for the 100-meter hurdles. So let's jump into heat 1, right? So for the women, we had Akira Nugent take that. She ran a 12.76 seconds. Demisha Roswell second, 12.89, and also making it through was Jelani Spencer. She ran a 13.03 seconds. I definitely think Akira Nugent knows how to manage rounds, and she
sure.
did enough. This is how she looks every trials. She comes in the first round, which is the semi-final, and just runs, a little slow time, and then turns up in the finals and is ready to break the national record.
Yes,
that's literally how she looks every single time. So I expect her to turn up in record-breaking fashion for the finals. Absolutely.
And then those hundreds that she's been running at Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Ooh. Expect something special.
Expect something special. Right? And then moving on to Heat 2, I think I'm just going to turn it on over to Albert so that he can go crazy.
Yes.
Right? So I'm just going to announce what happened and then let him say what he needs to say. So Megan Tapper won. She ran at 12.50 seconds. Daniel Williams was second, 12.76. Kerika Hill, third, 12.77 seconds, and taking the two non-automatic times were Amoy Brown 12.84 and Yannick Thompson. I'm happy Yannick made it in.
Yes,
12.97.
Yes.
She's my little sweetheart.
Yes.
Even though she hasn't really made it big just yet. Yeah, I still have hope. Yes. So let's dive into Megan.
Yes.
I know you have a lot to say.
Yes. Firstly, this time last year
I'm
when
barely
she
seeing
was,
your head.
oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So this time last year when she was at the trials, she was covered in tape, and so to see her without the tape, I think a lot of her fans and just everybody really was happy for that. Her execution of that start T.
She left everybody for dead. I was like, who is that?
Is
that Megan Tapper? I was like, she had the world champion next to her, defending world champion next to her, and she put her to bed. I was like,
honestly, she did a great job. I think there's more in the tank, and we'll see tomorrow. Danielle Williams, of course. She's ready. Yes, she is. And Danielle Williams, of course, she's
it doesn't matter. She's the defending champion.
She's the defending champion. She has
the bye.
Right, and she's a vet, so even with running rounds, Danielle knows that I just need to do enough to.
Yeah, true.
Right, and then Kerika Hill. She's had their injury issues.
Mighty.
And we could write a book about her journey, really.
I can say
and
that
so
for
I am so proud of Kerika for remaining true to herself.
She just opened her season recently.
Yeah. So I love that she remained true to herself.
She's giving me what's his name in the 110 meter hurdles is giving Tyler Mason. Opening season late having their struggles, but
still being in the mix.
Be a factor.
Yes,
can still be a factor. And everybody knows how I feel about Kerika. She's world record potential. I said, we're gonna have athletes that usher in, sub 12 eventually, and I think she's one of those athletes. Yes, injuries have hampered her. It's not over for sure. Seeing her come back, I'm excited, for her. Definitely think that it's going to be between herself, and Amoy Brown and Demisha Roswell, really, for who takes that final spot. Because as far as I'm concerned, Akira takes one, given again she comes out and gives me Akira running.
Right.
But Megan Tapper is going to be challenging for sure. Megan Tapper looks like she's on pace to run a personal best. Her personal best is 12.45.
Yes.
And she looks like she's ready to run, super fast. So I'm expecting a personal best. As I said, providing the wind works for them, because the wind has been acting up. The wind has been acting up. Be a negative wind.
And then, based off of what you've seen, do you think Danielle will go to the final?
I don't see why not. I mean, she doesn't have to, right? But I don't see why not. I definitely don't see why not, right? So, with that being said, we have Megan Tapper. I said I had her for third behind Danielle Williams. I'm just going to adjust that.
Right.
I'm just going to adjust
Let's adjust that.
And put her in second at least, challenging an Akira Nugent, right?
Yes.
But as I said, it's a non-factor for Danielle. So let's see, though, if Danielle was playing possum and is ready to actually say, no, hold up, I'm the defending champion. Let me show y'all girls what I got.
Yes.
Right? So let me see what Danielle turns up with. But for sure, Megan looks really awesome.
She looked good. And the thing is, this is the hurdles. It's technical. It's not about who's the fastest. It's who performs the best on the day. So let's see.
Megan is always ready when champion. You don't know Megan already.
I know.
Megan will go anywhere else and look like say Megan not really do no work. And Megan turn up her trials and dash with everybody.
I agree.
And drop out girl belly bottom.
Yes.
If you pull out a Shelly, and she stay, she will drop out girl belly bottom when she turn up her trials. So I'm not putting anything past her.
Nothing.
That's all. So let's jump into the men's 110 meter hurdles. I think this gets very, very interesting. It's going to be dicey.
And intense.
It's going to be dicey. It's going to be intense. And those collegiates are here.
They're coming. They're hot here. On the senior season.
They are here. So In the first semi-final, we had Rashid Broadbell taking that. He ran a 13.27 seconds with Hansa Parchment second, 13.32. Rashid Broadbell looked as though he was just, moseying along. He took his time out of the blocks and, caught up to Hansel and then, pipped him pretty much on the line, doing enough as far as I'm concerned to win. Same thing for Hansel. Hansel always turns up. Hansel is always ready. Never underestimate Hansel Parchment. He was here. He was ready to go. I expect they will both be ready to go in the finals. Where things get now interesting, there are only 3 spots. And if I count in Rashid Broadwell and Hansel Parchment based on what I saw so far, things get interesting for the other 2 heats. Because the other 2 semifinals showed us that the collegiates are actually here. And so, in the second semifinal, the Mario Prince popped in.
Yes, the Mario Prince.
He ran the fastest qualifier.
Yes.
13.320 seconds. Just shy of his personal best, 13.18.
Yes.
So crazy performance from him. Right off the bat, I was like, okay. Orlando Bennett, he's always in the equation as well. He always turns up at trials as well. And I've been talking about them all season. The performances, they've started their season faster than they typically start, especially for Orlando Bennett, right? So I'm expecting him to be in 13-0 shape in the finals. Again, wind is applicable, but given what I'm seeing, especially the fact that he ran a 13-2 in the heat, 13-0 seems to be on the cards for him.
Yes, and his PB is 13:09.
13:09.
So I think, based off of how fast these heats were, because they were, he just might have to pull a PB for that final.
I'm thinking that everybody outside of Hansel Parchment and Rashid Broadbell
will have to pull a PB.
I think so.
I agree.
I think so. So that's what happened. Oh, James Stern was also in the second heat and he ran a 13.27. Yes. So going in, I did say that the collegiates are fast, but I noticed that they're not clean. Jaim hit a ton of hurdles. And for Jaim to hit so much hurdle and still run 13.27, I said to myself, then what going on, Jaim have a clean race. And if he has that clean race in the finals, trouble is there. Because I don't remember if it was his coach, but I did listen to an interview or read an interview, an article where they said, listen, he has the speed, he just needs to clean up. Yes. Right? And if he can execute that perfect hurdles, he's right there in the conversation with the rest of the best guys in the world. So I'm keeping my eye on these 2 collegiates, Demario Prince and Jaheim Stern.
Agreed.
And then coming up in Heat 3, we had Tyler Mason. He was first, 13.22 with Jerome Campbell. Second, 13.33. Do me match this? Ina match.
The thing is, they're all so close to 13.2. And then considering the fact that these are qualifiers, that means they're holding something back. Somebody's holding a tenth of a second, somebody might be holding 2/10 of a second.
As far as I'm concerned, based on the field, you could say for the most part who was going to make it in.
Right, the usual suspects made it.
Right, the usual suspects made it in. So, with that being said, we don't know who will hold back how much. We can say that Rashid Broadbell is on pace for a PB.
Oh, for sure.
And Hansel Parchment can give us, that 12 seconds, that 13 seconds on the nose. And then, get ready for the world. No, not 12-9s. I don't think I'm expecting 12-9s from him in the finals. Maybe
I'm expecting
a 13
it from Broadbell, I'm not going to lie.
I'm expecting it from Broadbell.
Or Foster. But
some people say 12-8s. I have seen that floating around online, to be fair. But let me just, people say me crazy. So Mary and myself and me say 12-9. Let's see if we can challenge the national record first. And then we take it from there. Yes. Right? But I'm thinking that these 2 are head and shoulders above
the rest. I agree.
Which, as I said, only leaves 1 spot. We can't count out Orlando Bennett.
No, never.
Orlando Bennett ever ready?
I think he's made every single team since 2021,
And he's been getting better and better every year. So I look on the side and say, Orlando Bennett, right there. So Demario Prince is right there.
And then Jaheim Stern.
Jaheim Stern is there. Tyler Mason is there. Jerome Campbell is there. So and one spot that.
Yes, I think tomorrow will be a race of experience versus youthful exuberance. And we're gonna have to see.
I heard those any slip
slide. So
I'm wishing these men all the best.
Likewise.
Do you have any final thoughts on what we saw today?
I think all the heats were very solid, especially over the hurdles, 110-meter hurdles, 100-meter hurdles, and I'm just looking forward to see how everybody puts their final together, considering especially for the hurdles, the men and the women, the heats were fast, and nobody really showed their hand, and so when all the cards.
Megan gave a little something.
She gave a little thing. She did.
Megan gave one too.
Yes. I just want to know. I'm anticipating, and I can't wait to see when all the chips fall, where they fall. So we're anticipating tonight.
I'm hoping that the best man/woman wins.
Agreed.
And by best man/woman, I mean the ones that can actually, challenge on the world stage.
Yes.
Really and truly.
Because ultimately that's it, you want your favorite athlete to win. But can your favorite athlete take on the world beaters and win?
Yeah.
So we're gonna see, because you can never really count out anyone. And tomorrow one of these athletes could go on to win, and then maybe not had been a world beater before, but then becomes a world beater.
Shelley and Fraser Price is a perfect example.
Right?
Came out of nowhere people say, she was there in the relays and they could tell. Listen,
right.
I don't know how people could have tell from 2007, but 2008, Shelley just backsway. She didn't know a lie. When she don't drop out, people really bottom. And then Tina, my favorite athlete back then.
Yes.
Well, she's still, one of my favorites. Veronica Campbell.
VCB.
I was like this.
This girl, come on, she's just taking everything.
It wasn't Shelley. I was focusing on Shelley.
Oh, you mean?
I was just like,
I get what you mean.
didn't make it. I was like, how did that happen? And then Shelley went on. And I remember the debate.
Youthful exuberance.
And I remember the debate with, them wanting to switch out. I'm glad it never happened.
I'm glad it never happened. Oh my God, look, we could have lost out on almost
because
2 decades of the top performance.
The demotivation she would have faced, knowing that she did her best. And she still never get a shot. That's crazy. So I'm glad it never happened.
Yes, I think we learned from history, because you remember what happened with Marilyn
Well, the athletes taught Miller Naughty that lesson. Bye!
Bye! Like, subscribe.